Hey you guys, it's Peter, and welcome to my channel, Peterisms, where I tell stories of my life and just little things that I have learned as I have grown into the person that I am today. And it feels like it has been forever since I have been over here. We recently got back from vacation. Just 2 days ago, got back from vacation. And yesterday, I wanted to film a video over here, but just time got away from me. And so I thought, you know what? I'm going to start fresh tomorrow. Just got back from being with my cousin all day long. And I sat down and I brought the Melody Beatty meditation book with me today, The Language of Letting Go, which is my favorite meditation book of life. But I had screenshot before I left on vacation a quote that I saw on Instagram, and I like reshare. If you follow my Instagram, I reshare a lot of like inspirational quotes, motivational quotes, just things I'm thinking of at the moment. And sometimes I reshare them on my Instagram, but sometimes I screenshot them as well to remind myself of them. But this one specifically was something that I was like, it reminded me of a lesson that I learned years ago. And I was like, you know what? I think I want to make a video about this, on my Peterisms channel. So I want to read to you. I have it right here all queued up. It actually took me a while to find it. I had to go back in, and I was like sitting here. I was like, did I delete it? I know I have it in here somewhere. But I finally found it. And so I wanted to share it with you guys. And then, like I said, I will read a meditation. But it's one of the most valuable lessons I think I've ever learned in my life. And it does come from a recovery point of view, but I don't think it's necessarily a recovery lesson. So let me read the quote to you. And it is from Tiny Buddha Official on Instagram. And the quote says, like I said, here it is, you can see. Everything I want for myself, I want for everyone around me. I hope we all make it. And I hope we all find the things that make us happy. And the reason I wanted to share this is because, often in my drama videos, when I'm talking about people, I'll say, I want them to be happy. I want good things for them. I want them to learn from what they're going through. One of the reasons why I believe so much in, accountability and gratitude and learning as you grow and being willing to grow, because I think that once you stop growing, you stop learning. And I'll say in my videos often, if you watch those videos over there, that the more we learn about ourselves, the more we grow, the more we change and develop into better human beings each and every single day, the more we enjoy life, the more we get to enjoy what's given to us every single day. And I know that because at points in my life where I was stagnant and I didn't know what lesson I was being taught, I didn't really feel like I was enjoying life that much. But in each difficult lesson that I've gone through in my life, and each thing that I've learned, in my life that's been hard for me to learn, on the other side of that, I look back and I'm like so thankful that I learned that lesson, because it helps me to look at life through a different perspective, or look at relationships from a different perspective, or enjoy my life from a different perspective. And so the lessons that I've gone through they're not just, happenstance. They actually have taught me something. And I think that that's valuable. And this idea of that, wanting what you want for yourself for everybody else. So let me read it again. Everything I want for myself, I want for everyone around me. I hope we all make it, and I hope we all find the things that make us happy. That doesn't just mean the people that you love in your life. That doesn't just mean the people that you care about deeply, your friends and your close family members. That also extends to the people that you don't necessarily like. When it talks about, I want that for everyone around me. One of the hardest lessons I've ever learned is the things that I want for myself, I have to want for people that I don't necessarily get along with either. And the reason why I was taught to do that is because it teaches me compassion. It teaches me empathy. It teaches me to see humanity in other people. If there's somebody out there that I don't necessarily like, or I don't agree with, or I don't get along with, or they've been hurtful to me, I think that is the hardest part, right? Is that when somebody has been hurtful to me, especially intentionally, they've been hurtful to me, for me to want something for them that I also want for myself, whether that's peace of mind, whether that's serenity, whether that's wealth, whether that's relationships, whether that's good health, whether that's another day alive to enjoy this world, whether that's good family relationships or good things to come to them. For me to want that for myself, I have to want that for that person too. Because then what it does is it equalizes our human experience. For me to want that for them also opens the door for me to forgiveness. And, forgiveness is such a hard thing for so many of us. And I love the definition of forgiveness, that forgiveness is accepting that what happened in the past happened. Not that what happened was okay. It's not excusing it. It's not saying, I'm okay with what you did to me. It's not saying that the way that you treated me, the way that you spoke to me is totally fine. I think sometimes we think that's what forgiveness is. That we think if we forgive somebody, we are excusing their past behavior. That is forgetting, not forgiving, okay? Forgiving is saying what happened in the past happened, and this is why I love this definition. We can't change that, right? The way that somebody treated us, the way that a situation turned out, it's why I was taught that the definition of resentment is unfulfilled expectations. That a resentment is an unfulfilled expectation. When I thought that a person was supposed to treat me in a certain way, or a certain outcome was supposed to happen, and it didn't, and I'm resentful about that. I'm angry about that because a person didn't treat me the way that I thought that they should treat me. Whether that's I didn't get invited to something, or they didn't talk to me in a way that they wanted to, or a relationship didn't turn out the way that it did. A resentment is an unfulfilled expectation. It's when I had an expectation, and maybe I had a right to that expectation, Maybe it's with a family member that was toxic to me, and my expectation was that a family member would love me, right? Well, that's a fair expectation. But that doesn't change the outcome of the expectation, right? That doesn't change that the expectation wasn't fulfilled. And so then I have a resentment. And the resentment's really about me. It's not about them, that I'm holding on to the resentment. So the definition of forgiveness that I love is that when something happened, okay, and I can't change that thing from 5 days ago, 5 years ago, 50 years ago, it's weird saying that, but that could be the case with me today because I'm 52, almost 53. When that thing from all those years ago happened, I can't change that. It doesn't make it okay that it happened. I just can't change it, right? So it's accepting that what happened, and asking myself, what am I going to do about it today so I am not held hostage to that event from the past? Because so many times in my life, I have continued to borrow anger, misery, resentment, frustration, sadness, and hurt, carried it into other situations, carried it into other relationships, which is what we call baggage, because that situation happened 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, right? And I feel unresolved over that situation. So I'm still in it. I'm still acting as if, well, what if this had happened differently? Or why didn't this happen differently? Or why didn't that person change? Why didn't this person act differently to me? Why isn't this person apologize to me? All of those things might be fantastic questions, but they don't change the fact that what happened. And so it's about me saying and accepting that happened. I can't change that it happened. I can't, it's like the idea of crying over spilt milk. I can't change that this happened. It doesn't excuse that it happened. I want to make that very clear, because whenever I say this in videos, people always say, well, you're asking me to forgive somebody that did something absolutely horrible to me. I'm not asking anybody to do that. I've had horrible things done to me. I'm not excusing that. I'm not saying that it was okay. But it's also drinking poison, expecting the other person to be hurt by it. I'm the one that's hurt by it today. Typically, those people go on and they aren't thinking about it the way that I'm thinking about it 10, 20 years later, even 2 days later. They're not thinking about it. They've moved on with their life. But I'm still hurt by it. I'm the one that's still being punished by something I never asked to happen in the first place. So forgiveness, when we talk about forgiveness being for us, not for the other person, is really a way for us to move through the pain of what's happened to us. And so today, the forgiveness aspect is, well, this happened. I can't change that it happened. It's not okay that it happened. But what do I want to do with that so that I am not anchored to what happened from the past today? I don't want to be anchored to that anymore. I don't want to be held to that. I don't want to be held hostage to that event in my life or events that happened. I don't want to forever, my entire life, be defined by those things. That doesn't mean that I won't educate people or share those stories to help other people, but I don't want to continue to feel the pain. This doesn't mean you're not going to feel some remnants of it, but I don't want to feel it on the level that I felt it all those years later. I just don't. So what do I have to do? And that's why you ask yourself the second part. That's what forgiveness is. So what do I need to do so I'm no longer held hostage to that? And for me, one of those things is I have to look at that person that did that thing to me, and I have to see them as a human being that has faults, that might be a sick human being. You know, they might not know what they were doing, or maybe they did, you know, and maybe, I don't know. I don't even have to understand it necessarily. But if I can see them as human, I can see them as somebody that I can forgive, because forgiveness is really for me, not for them. And one of the things that I had to learn was, and this is where we really get stuck in anger. If you have ever been stuck in anger before, where you are like, I want somebody to know what happened. I want that person to hurt as bad as I do. I have never once experienced anybody that has had somebody horrifically hurt them, where that person has then, you know, hurt in response, or something has happened to them, and then that person stood back and go, you know what, I feel so much better. You might feel better briefly. You might feel better for a minute, but you're still going to have the anger. The work that we have to do, unfortunately, it's not fair that that thing was done to us and we're the ones that have to do the work. It's not fair at all, right? But the one way for me to work through that is, and it has been hard, it's like when I got sober and I had to pray for somebody that I didn't like, you know? And my sponsor at that time was like, every day get down on your knees and pray for that person. I was like, I'm not going to pray for that person. And every day I got down on my knees and I started praying for that person. I started praying for the resentment to be removed. And I don't know if prayer works, and I don't know if there's a God. I believe that there's a higher power, but that doesn't mean that that's true. That's what I believe. I don't know what happened, but over the course of a month or so, I kind of forgot that it even happened to me, you know, because I was doing the work on myself. And one way was, for me, my sponsor so focused on it this time, or that time, was seeing that person as a human being, you know, and saying, you have to want the same things that you want for yourself. If you want peace and serenity for you, you have to wish that for the person that's done you harm too. Well, that was hard. But what it forced me to do was see that person as a human being that's full of fault and error and other things as well. It's not excusing what they did to me. It's not taking it away. You know, I think sometimes we confuse forgiveness with love or forgetting. Like, I forgive you, therefore I love you, and we need to have a relationship. No, that's not true. I can forgive somebody and never have to speak to them again. I can forgive somebody and never forget what they did to me, but I don't have to hold on to it forever either. I don't want to hold on to it forever. I don't want to be stuck to that thing that happened to me 5, 2, 10, 20 years ago. I've done that with things. And I can tell you, I'm the one that hurts in the end, not the other person. I know that, because I have hurt for long periods of time. I saw my mother, till the end of her life, hurt over things that had happened to her in her childhood, you know? And if you're stuck in a place where you can't get through that, it's not just you're going to watch a video of mine or read a meditation that's going to get you through it. That's going to require some deep therapy. It's going to require some deep work, you know? It's not something that's just going to go away. But I promise you, by working through the pain, by working through the anger, one of the ways to do that I've learned is for wanting for other people what I want for myself. Also, I think when we're talking about people that we do love, people that I do care for, it takes away jealousy and envy. Even if you have, like, with our close friends and family, I think there's probably been moments, if you're really honest with yourself, that we've been jealous or envious, even of people that we love, you know? Well, why did they get this when I didn't get that? Or why did they get this opportunity? Or they have a nicer house than me, or they have nicer this and that, and I wish I had that, right? I think when we start wanting those things for other people, it takes away jealousy and envy. It makes us realize that my journey is so much different than somebody else's, you know? Maybe they're supposed to have that house for a reason I'm not supposed to have. Maybe I'm supposed to have something that they're not supposed to have, because my journey looks completely different. And then what it does is it opens us up and it allows us to be happy for the people that we love, you know? And I can honestly say that there was a part in my youth, a big part of my youth, when I was jealous of other people, especially getting sober. You know, I felt like I was behind everybody else. And I thought, you know, here I am, trying to correct everything in my life and be a better person on a daily basis, live a right life. And here's this person over here that, you know, they're not doing half of the work that I'm doing on themselves. And just because I was born an addict or an alcoholic, I have to do all this more work. And and they have a $500,000 home, and I'm still trying to play catch up, you know? When I stopped realizing that I'm my own worst enemy and I'm my best competition and that nobody else out there was, and I'm on my own journey, was the moment that everything changed for me, was the moment that my perspective completely changed, was the moment that I realized I'm not in competition with anybody else out there. When I realized that the things that other people have, those are their things. You know, it's not about coveting your neighbor. It's about the fact that maybe those things weren't meant for me. Maybe something different was meant for me, you know? And when I realized that other people look at me and they think, God, Peter has that. I wish I had that. You know, but maybe they really don't. And maybe I'm looking at them saying, I wish I had that. But our journeys are so completely different, you know? And so if we can want for each other what we want for ourselves, then we can be happy for other people when they have it, you know? And then it opens the way for peace and serenity to come in our heart when we have those things or when we don't have those things. And it's a completely different perspective because it takes away jealousy and envy. It takes away anger and bitterness and resentment, you know? One of the things that was really, really hard for me was when I would see people that had harmed me or hurt me get things in life that I didn't feel like they deserved, that they got good things in life, and it hurt, you know? But when I could want for other people what I wanted for myself, it made me realize they're human beings just like me. And I don't think the world necessarily works that way. Like, because they did this thing, they don't deserve that, blah, 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 whatever, you know? And so today, and I'm not saying it's always easy, I'm not saying that I always do it every single time, but I try to look at people specifically and realize their journey is different. Maybe they're supposed to be learning something different than I am. I don't know. But I just want to share that with you guys because that's been something that's been really, really helpful to me. All right, now I know this is long, but let's get into a meditation. It is April 9th today. Oh my gosh, it's been so long since I've been over here. I'm going to go to today's meditation, which I have no idea what it is, but let's see if it's apropos for today. Today's is about giving. Yesterday's was about self-care, those old-time feelings, patience, detaching and love. Let's just read today's, giving. Learning to be a healthy giver can be a challenge. Many of us got caught up in compulsive giving, charitable acts motivated by uncharitable feelings of guilt, shame, obligation, pity, and moral superiority. We now understand that caretaking and compulsive giving don't work. They backfire. Caretaking keeps us feeling victimized. Many of us gave too much, thinking we were doing things right. Then we became confused because our life and relationships weren't working. Many of us gave so much for so long, thinking we were doing God's will. Then in recovery, we refused to give, care, or love for a time. That's okay. Perhaps we needed a rest, but healthy giving is part of healthy living. The goal in recovery is balance. Caring that is motivated by a true desire to give with an underlying attitude of respect for ourselves and others. The goal in recovery is to choose what we want to give, to whom, when, and how much. The goal in recovery is to give and not feel victimized by our giving. Are we giving because we want to, because it's our responsibility? Or are we giving because we feel obligated, guilty, ashamed, or superior? Are we giving because we feel afraid to say no? Are the ways we try to assist people helpful, or do they prevent others from facing their true responsibilities? Are we giving so that people will like us or feel obligated to us? Are we giving to prove we're worthy? Or are we giving because we want to give and it feels right? Recovery includes a cycle of giving and receiving. It keeps healthy energy flowing among us, our higher power, and others. It takes time to learn how to give in healthy ways. It takes time to learn to receive. Be patient. Balance will come. God, please guide my giving and my motives today. You know, it's interesting. I have so many thoughts in my head. One of the most valuable things was I can remember my mom towards the end of my life. She wanted to like do something. I can't remember, something, buy me dinner or something like that. And at that point I was trying to like do stuff for her. You know, I knew she didn't have a lot. And I can remember talking to Tanya, my friend Tanya, about it. And Tanya said, let your mom do it. Like, it brings her joy to be able to give something to her son. And I thought about that, you know? And I can remember, like, the next time we went, my mom was like, let me pick up the bill tonight for dinner. And I let her because of what Tanya said. And it just, like, my mom seemed so happy about that, you know? I think that one of the things, I witness this more. I have a lot of friends in my life that are givers. And are unconditionally givers, like just love to give because that's who they are as people. I've also witnessed people in my life that give and they feel like there should be something in return. that, like, you can tell that they're just, or they'll like say to other people, like, I've done so much for this person, they haven't done anything for me. Then you shouldn't be doing those things. You're doing it for the wrong reasons, okay? And I'm not talking about family obligations. I'm not talking about where you feel like you have to, okay? I think that's a valid question when she asks this. Are you doing it because you feel like you have to? Well, I think there's in any situations in life with family or friends, there's going to be situations where we have to give out of obligation. Those are expectations in life that we have to do. So that one, why we feel bitter about it when it's just an expectation, something we have to do. You know, I've seen so many people that I know that's like at Christmas time, especially, they'll just be like, well, I'm getting this for Uncle John. I'm getting this for, you know, and I'm like, like, you're bitter about the gift. Well, I have to have something for them. Why? At least if you're going to do that, make the gift giving enjoyable, you know? I have friends of mine that make every Christmas gift they give, you know? They just love to make every Christmas gift they give because it's in the joy of giving them, you know? And it's not really, they don't really care if the person likes it or not. It's like, you know, and then my mom was somebody that throughout the whole year, she would buy, my cousin Caroline still talks about how my mom was like the best gift giver in the entire world. She would remember something you said to her, like on Halloween the year before, and that whole year, you know, it's like if you said to her something like, I've been looking for I don't know, a Stevie Nicks tape, you know, for a tape, not a record, you know, whatever. And she'd look and she'd look and she'd look and she'd go to thrift stores and finally she'd find it. And then you'd be like, oh my God, I totally forgot I said that. She'd say, well, I remember you said it to me on Halloween, and she'd write a little note with it and how much. My mom specifically, she was such a great gift giver. And it wasn't that she picked out expensive gifts. Most of her gifts were not expensive at all, because she cared so much about the gifts that she gave, you know? But I'm not just talking about gift giving. I'm talking about giving of our time, giving of our care. You know, I know so many people that are like, well, if I don't do it, who's going to do it? Because my sister's not going to do it, or my friend's not going to do it. You know, I have to do it. And I think that there's those obligations where we have to do it, right? But to expect something in return. And I think the other thing is we all have to have people that we vent to in life, right? Like, I vent to my friends, you know, they vent to me and things like that. And, but I think in really asking ourselves, why am I giving this? I think it's okay to vent and be like, I do so much for somebody else and they don't do anything for me. It's not a reason to stop doing it. People need us to do things in life, right? And you can be frustrated about that. You have every right to be frustrated about that. But when it comes to giving to people that don't necessarily do that, I think one of the things I've had to learn in my life is like, am I doing it for like a wink and a nod? Like, oh my God, thank you so much. Or especially when it's like a random act of kindness, you know? Am I like buying somebody's coffee or doing this because I'm waiting for that? Or am I just doing it because that's what I want to do and I'm trying to be a better person, or I just want to be giving that day? Because there's a lot of moments that I just feel like I'm giving. There's been a lot of moments in my life too, you know? It's like where I'm kind of like looking over my shoulder, like, do they realize you know what I mean? Like, and maybe and we all do that. Like, that's just human nature. And I know there's that one person out there that's a saint that's like, well, I never do that. Well, that's great. And you're a role model for the rest of us. I'm not always that person. I am somebody that in life often, not as much as I used to, but I'm trying to be better about it, that if I'm doing a random act of kindness, sometimes I have to check myself. Like, am I doing this just because I want to do it? It makes me feel good to do it. I feel like I'm doing the right thing. Or am I doing it to be noticed? Am I doing it for the pat on the back? Am I doing it for the thank you? Am I doing it for the returned gift or giving? That's not the reason to be doing it, you know? My mom years ago, I'll never forget, said something to her, and she's like, we don't give gifts to get gifts in return. You give gifts because that's how you feel like you want to. And whether that gift is a physical gift, or that gift is a gift of emotion, or of support, or love, it should never be that we're giving to be reciprocated. It should be from our heart. And that's a hard lesson. And like I'm saying, I'm not a perfect person. I still work on that today, you know? And I think there's always a part of us that's kind of like, you know, but to be able to work on that, then that is truly giving of your heart, you know? At my aunt's funeral, one of my aunt's dearest friends got up, and I knew that my aunt was my cousin Caroline's mom. I knew my Aunt Kathy was a very giving person. I knew that. I mean, she was one of the most giving people I had ever known. To hear one of her dearest friends get up and share about, she got up once a week at 2 o'clock in the morning and put together these sandwich pack, made like 100 sandwiches for this like shelter, and did this. And she's part of all these different things that I never even knew. She never told anybody about. It was her best friend and her neighbor only knew because she'd come over there sometimes and help her. She'd like, you know, she'd be like, oh, I'm running out to do this. Nobody, my aunt did all these things, these acts of altruism, and never told anybody about them. No, they're completely selfless acts. Never told anybody about them. Nobody even knew. I didn't even know. I was so close with my Aunt Kathy, and I didn't even know till after she was passed away. That's role modeling for me. That's where I want to get to, you know? So anyway, good meditation today. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. I'm happy to be back. I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.